Okay, for me in missions, I suppose it was a bit of a long journey. I did a lot of short-term teams when I was at university. First of all, I trained as a teacher, primary school teacher, and then I came to the mission field after I'd worked for a few years. But since I've been on the field, I've done a Masters of International and Community Development, which is very useful for what I'm doing now. But I also did my Bible college training part-time while I was at work. And I think the whole kit and caboodle together and just living in another culture meshes together. And I think God thrashes you out a path and go, okay, walk in this path. And, sometimes people say mission is, it's really hard, I don't want to do it. I really enjoyed it. And sometimes I feel like, am I enjoying this too much? But I really feel if God's placed me here, then I don't think he's going to put a big burden on my back to make me feel uncomfortable. I just really love it. I love being in Thailand. I love being in Chiang Rai. And I love the Thais.
How have we been equipped to be missionaries? That's a good question. It's one of those things that you don't really see why God has brought you into a place until you can look back with a bit of perspective, and you can see that the giftings that you had that maybe you didn't even know you had were there, and God was going to use them. And also the giftings that you knew you had but you couldn't see how they could be used would be used by God. So in my case it's obviously electronics and a love of flying and a love of aircraft and that sort of thing, but also a real passion to be with people and to teach people how to not only do their job, but a bit about what Christ is like, and a little bit about what it's like to be a Christian, especially when you're dealing with people who aren't Christians in a cross-cultural environment, and people possibly from different faiths. So that's a really big opportunity, but it's a skill that I didn't know I had until I saw it.
Yeah, so some of the equipping, I think, is the official equipping year or so at Bible College and the training that Matt does, but some of it too is through the different experiences God's taken us through, just building different life experiences and skills as we go along.
How have you been equipped to be a missionary?
Well, we've been equipped the way that all believers have been equipped, in one sense that we have been brought into a community of believers, that God has called us to be a part of his people, and he's given us his Holy Spirit and called us to be reaching out to the world around us. That's the main way we've been equipped to be a part of what God's doing in the world. We've also had this special opportunity to come and be trained at Bible College, to think about how we might do this work of the gospel cross-culturally, and also learning how to carefully and rightfully handle God's word. We've also had the blessing and opportunity to travel around and build partnerships with churches all over Australia, to be a part of the work happening in Central Australia.
And I'll just add as well that we're also part of God's local church, and we work together with God's people. We discern that with God's people, and it's something that God does in us, but in community, not just by ourselves as individuals.